and welcome. So today we're just going to be talking about some common rat behaviors. Yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory, so let's just go ahead and get into it. So first off, you've probably heard of this one, but boggling and bruxing. So bruxing is when rats grind their teeth, and when they do that, they have a muscle that connects their jaw to their eyes, so their eyes pop. So boggling is the eye popping, bruxing is the teeth grinding. And this can freak a lot of people out the first time they see it because it is an odd thing to see. But bruxing and boggling is a indication a lot of the time that they're happy and relaxed, but it can also be an indication that they are stressed or in pain. So context clues to figure out which it is. If you're petting them and they start boggling and bruxing, they're happy and relaxed. If they're sleeping, they're happy and relaxed. If you're at the vet, they're probably stressed. Next up, we have bar biting. So this is something that rodents do a lot. You probably heard about it with hamsters, but bar biting is exactly what it sounds like. It's when they chew on the bars. Rats could be doing this for a few reasons. The first is they could be stressed. There could be something in their environment that is causing them to be stressed, or perhaps something changed, or maybe the cage isn't full enough. Whatever the reason, it can be a sign of stress or boredom. So if you don't have stuff in their cage for them to perform their natural behaviors, it can be a sign that they're bored. So make sure they have nesting material, something to dig in, something to play with, like toys, chewing material. You can do a wheel. Some rats enjoy it, some rats don't. They need companions as well. So as long as you have all of that, then they're probably not stressed with something in the cage. But if you have other pets in the house, they could be stressed if the pet, like a cat that is messing with a camera, for example, is getting too close to them. That could stress them out. But bar biting can also happen when they're excited. So I've had Sunny for a year and a half now, and the entire time I've had her, when I am getting their dinner ready, I will turn around and she will be biting at the bars because she's so excited to eat. And she's not stressed, she's just excited, and she's expressing it that way. I've also had rats do this when they want attention. So my past rat Pilot would do this. Junimo did this when I first got her. And it would be, I'd free roam them, they'd run around, they'd have a good time, and I'd put them back in their cage, but they were still excited and hyped up and wanted more attention, so they'd chew on the bars. This behavior went away naturally for both of them. Junimo stopped doing it when she realized that I was going to take her out almost every day and play with her. Pilot, I can't remember, because I had her for a while when she started, and I was so confused by why it was happening. She stopped on her own. I didn't ever go over and give her attention when she bit the bars because I didn't want to Pavlov her into thinking that that was okay. But yeah, again, if you've ruled out stress or boredom, then they could just be excited or wanting your attention. Next, we have barbering. So barbering is when a rat will over-groom themselves or someone else and cause them to lose fur. So when a rat is barbering themselves, it could, again, be a sign of stress. Not usually boredom. Boredom can cause stress, but it's typically a sign of stress. The most common way I have seen it is their arms. They'll lose a lot of fur on their arms and chest first. Sometimes this can be taken care of by making sure their cage environment is good and healthy for them, but sometimes rats just barber and you never really know the reason why. It's kind of like a bird plucking their feathers. It's like self-soothing. Obviously, it's not ideal, but it's not also harmful to them if you've ruled out any environmental factors. Keeping in mind that rats also lose fur for other reasons, health reasons, or they might have mites. So if you've ruled out all of that and they don't have any scabs or wounds on them, they could be barbering. And again, it's not the worst thing in the world. Keep in mind, there's not always something you can do about it. You just make sure that they have everything that they need and see if they stop. And if they don't, it could just be that they're an anxious rat. Rats can also barber each other. So this is more common in males, I've noticed, than females, but not uncommon in females. And it's just a dominance thing. They're not meaning to do it. They're just grooming a little too hard. And if there's no other indicators that there's something hormonal going on, I wouldn't worry about it too much. They might grow out of it, or when natural hierarchy changes might take effect. So as long as no one's getting hurt, it's not that big of a deal. Next we have grooming. So rats are very clean animals. You'll hear rat people say this all the time. It's like they're not dirty, they're very clean, and it's because they groom themselves a lot. They keep themselves clean, they keep their hands clean, they keep their feet clean. They also groom each other, and they groom you. So when grooming each other is usually, it can have a lot of meanings. So it can be a dominance thing. You'll hear of power grooming a lot, and it's when they kind of, like, it's typically on the shoulders or the sides, and they just kind of go really hard. It looks almost like they're eating corn, and the rat being groomed might protest squeak, but they're not being injured, they're just protesting. They also do it as a sign of affection or respect for other rats, and also because rats are a colony animal, and the way that they bond is to make a group smell. So they do that by sleeping together, peeing on each other, and grooming each other. So rats will groom one another in order to get that colony smell on everybody. And obviously it also helps to keep each other clean. When they're grooming you, when you pet a rat, that is what basically you're doing in their brain, is you're grooming them. So when they respond, it is a sign of affection, and it is also a sign that you're part of their colony. Like, they're showing you respect, they're showing you love, they want you to smell like them. That's also why they pee on you. And it's a way to show that they're relaxed around you. They feel safe enough to take a moment and groom you. They're comfortable being out in the open and just hanging with you. So it is a very good thing when they're willing to give you kisses. Next up, we have tail wagging. So much like a dog, rats can wag their tail, and it has the same meanings as a dog. So a dog can wag their tail because they're excited and happy, and they can also do it because they're agitated. So with rats, it's pretty simple. If you're petting them and they start wagging their tail, they're excited and they're happy. And if you see them approaching another rat and they're wagging their tail, they're agitated. And it could turn into a fight. Sometimes it can't. I find that some rats wag their tail a lot easier than others. I have some that have literally never done it. And I have some that have only done it when they're agitated. And I have some that have only done it when they've been happy and getting attention. So just, again, context clues. If you're in the middle of intros, for example, and your rat starts wagging their tail, I would pay very close attention. Next up, we have pinned ears. So if you've noticed that your rat has their ears down, that is a sign that they are uncomfortable and possibly in pain. This will often accompany puffiness or lethargy, because those are also signs of pain. So I've seen rats do this, again, when they're in pain. I've seen them do it when they're mad as well. I've seen them do it when they're choking. Rats choke actually pretty often, and they'll pin their ears and kind of like it's not gagging, because rats can't vomit. They don't have a gag reflex, but they kind of like, it looks like they could be. They just kind of like pull back and open their mouth, trying to loosen up what is in their throat. Most instances of choking resolve themselves, and it's nothing you have to worry about. If your rat is in pain, obviously do a quick exam on them, see if you can find the reason, and if you cannot, take them to a vet and see if the vet can find what the cause is. So I don't have a video for what's next up, because it happens so quick. It's more incidental when I do catch it on film, and I don't think I have in a long time. But it's ear vibrating or other heat symptoms. So female rats, when they are in heat and they are near other rats, they do this thing where they vibrate their ears. It's very apparent with top ears. You can see it with Dumbos, but not as clear because their ears are just too far down their head. But they literally vibrate their ears really fast. They kind of shake their head when they do it. And they'll jump forward a short distance and kind of like brace themselves. And that's because they are trying to, A, attract the attention of the rat that they are interacting with, and B, are getting prepared to be mounted. So female rats will hump each other in heat very frequently. Obviously, a male rat and a female rat shouldn't be together unless you are deliberately breeding them. And if you're watching this, I'm assuming you're not intending to deliberately breed them, so don't keep them together, please. But yeah, female rats will often hump each other when they're in heat, and they react the same to another female as they would a male. So ear vibrating, the little jump forward, and bracing themselves. It's definitely not something to worry about. Obviously, humping can be a dominance thing, but typically with females, that only happens during intros, and once intros are done, it's not that big of a deal. It can happen with hormonal aggression, but my girls were never, other than Sailor. Sailor was a nightmare with that, but my other hormonally aggressive girls didn't do that. It was always about fighting. Males, it can vary. Males are more likely to hump for dominance as opposed to females, and it can or cannot be a sign that something is wrong. It depends on what other behaviors they are displaying to determine if they are feeling aggressive. In the same vein, rats will pin each other a lot, and it's literally just where one rat will take another, put them on their back, and hold them down. And they do this for dominance, or to say, hey, knock that off. So it's not always the alpha. They'll pin others. Sometimes the alpha will get pinned. It is just a normal hierarchy thing. They'll do it to establish who's who and who's where in the hierarchy, and they'll also do it to, again, just say, hey, knock that off. Babies will do it a lot to play. Adult rats, not so much. But yeah, if one rat is annoying another, no matter where they are in the hierarchy, could very turn around and pin them. And then oftentimes this will be followed by grooming, either power grooming or simple grooming. I have a funny video of Sailor and Heidi, with Sailor pinning Heidi and Heidi power grooming her, because that was the relationship they had. They were a very complicated pair. Next we have boxing, and that is where two rats will stand up on their feet and just kind of paw each other with their hands. It can look like boxing. But yeah, this is again, it can be a hierarchy thing, but this is also just the two rats being like, okay, you're annoying me, we're going to work this out. And it starts off with boxing and then often usually ends with pinning. So it's very normal. It's nothing to worry about. It's certainly not a fight. And it's not really anything to worry about, again, unless there are other concerning behaviors. So I find that boxing's not typically too concerning unless one's backed into a corner, has their head tilted back so the other rat can see their teeth, or if one or both are poofy, that's when it could become a fight. But rats, unless they also are displaying some other body language indicators that it could turn into a fight, often do just box because they're annoyed with each other. It depends on how easily your rat gets annoyed, honestly. Another behavior would be, I think they call it kickboxing, but it's basically where one rat or two rats are chasing each other, and one like kind of turns and like puts their foot on the other shoulder to kind of push them away. This can again lead to a fight. A lot of these are both dominance behaviors and fight behaviors. And you just have to know your rat's body language and know your rats to determine whether or not you need to interfere. Never put your hand between two rats you think might fight, because they can seriously hurt you. The best option is if you have some kind of cloth nearby to drape it over whichever rat you feel is the biggest problem, because it will distract them, and then you scoop them up. That's how I've always done it, and I've never gotten bitten during a fight. They can bite you through the fabric, so be wary, and they might not know it's you, so still be careful. But hopefully dropping the fabric on them distracts them enough, startles them out of that enough that you'll be safe. But yeah, those are some common rat behaviors. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you know what to do. All the fun stuff down below. And I'll see you next one. Goodbye!